and they're new, they're coming in the room because of the title. So now they're seeing the title and they realize it doesn't match up with the specific conversation that we're having right now. Typically, I would say, the conversation must have changed. It's not about the conversation that the title is about. I'm either going to stay realizing that, or I'm going to leave because that's not why I came in here. So the question that I have for you is, since we know the conversation shifted, what was the reason behind staying? Because I know Spec pulled you up into the to the stage to speak, but he told me, I called him on the phone. He told me he pulled you up to contribute to the specific question that Dan was asking, not the previous conversation that we were having 4 hours ago on the subject matter of the title.
Well, the challenge is that the room was not reset to say that it no longer was aligned with the title. And the second challenge was that from the beginning, all the people that are on here are saying for 4 hours, the title was never aligned. And, and the other challenges that showed up were the disrespect and the marginalization of people of color and women. And so it was not an inclusive space. And you cannot be who you are, Billie Jean, as the leader. You come in and the first thing you're like is, well, let me defend what happened. But you haven't even apologized for what happened under your name. And that's the thing that it needs to start with, which is, Allison, I haven't met you. But I know you probably looked me up before you got on. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But just to start with, Allison, I haven't met you, but let me just start with 2 words. I'm sorry. And let me go from I'm sorry to the next question, which is, how can I make a difference? I have a room full of people who believed in me. You, Billie Jean, had a room full of people that believed in you, Black people, Asian people, like all these people that were believing in you, women of color. We all came in because we believed in you, and then we felt baited and switched. And then when you show up to talk about it, you show up with defense. And that is just not cool, yo. It's not cool in any capacity.
Okay, I appreciate you sharing that. May I speak? Is it now my time?
It's your time to speak as long as what you say resonates with the room, and I'm the room.
I said, if you guys didn't just hear that. So what I was saying before I was moved to the audience is, number one, I just had guests over my house. I haven't been on Clubhouse in 3, maybe 4 hours, something like that. When I came in, I named it Rich White People's Secrets, which is the name of my book that I'm dropping in Q2 of this year. The panel was all Black. When I was on there, my guy Damon John came through, my guy Grant Cardone came through, my guy Ty Lopez came through. It was just us vibing, having a conversation, and I said many things for all different races throughout the thing, and anybody who follows me knows this. So then I leave, and I come back, and I'm getting texts, and now there's rooms about my room that I wasn't even in, and people are talking about me. Literally had nothing to do with it. So the first time I'm hearing anything is right now, the second. And you're upset with me for defending myself when you have a room talking about me for something.
Because here's the thing. Why are you showing up to my room defending yourself? Why are you showing up to my room trying to understand why I started it?
I'm trying to understand. That's why I'm here. But I'm also giving context to the people as I'm being, talked about.
That's not context, Billie Jean.
Manji, you can't do both at the same time. You can't give the context and try to understand Billie Jean. Man, come on, G. But you show up to the room. Hold up, bro. No. You're not going to overtalk me, my G. You're not going to overtalk me. All right, you show up to the room. I understand why you're upset or frustrated or however you feel. But at the same time, you got to understand, bro. You're not white. We're not talking to you like we're talking to these white people, okay? We're talking to you. You know what the fucking life is, mind you. You know what it is. When she comes in and she has these emotions, it's not just about this fucking room. It's not just about this room. It's about everything she had to deal with every day. So when you show up to this fucking Clubhouse room, you know that, my G. We don't have to tell you that. All right? So when you show up to the room, when you show up to the room, what happened? But I need to know what happened. All I know is my name is being thrown around about a room I wasn't even in.
So I need to know what happened. It's not about so that I can. I don't just come in and apologize for something that I don't know. I'm saying that doesn't make sense. I would love to learn. You didn't ask what's going on. You didn't ask that now, nigga.
Okay, listen. Can we get Allison? Give it back. It's her room. Let Allison.
Yes, I would
give
love
it back to Allison.
Please, Allison. Thank you very much. That's it. I'm just trying to get context. See what happened.
May I add, Allison? Okay. First, I would like to just add first, Billy, that one of the things that Allison said in the very beginning is that this conversation really wasn't even about you. And so you did not come in here with clarification about what was going on. Why? Because you did not ask. And you did not come through with the intent to know. You came in with the intent to defend. And that's problematic. And it's another way to back someone into a corner to say what it is that you need to say about how you feel when you didn't clarify why this room started in the first place. You weren't present, so it wasn't necessarily about you if you weren't in the conversation. And so what I need you to connect the dots is to be a student of the space first, to ask for clarification. This is the problem. The problem is, and let me share with you what happened, okay?
Amina, that was good, Amina. That's fair. That's fair. That was really
good. Can I tell you what happened, Billy? Can I tell you?
I would really, really appreciate that, because here's what I got. I got 15 text messages saying you're being disrespected in the room. Someone stole your name.
But Billy, what Amina just said, what Amina just said.
Yeah. And so, Amina, I appreciate you explaining that, Amina. And I would love to learn more on Amina and whoever else is over talking to Amina.
Can I?
Thank you,
okay. Amina. Let me say this. Also, your tone and your energy is problematic.
Because Billy, what you missed is all these strong Black women in here are talking about how there's a lot of mansplaining happening in their lives on a day-to-day basis. And then you're literally, whoever sent you here did not prep you, and you're literally walking into the entire conversation that was a much bigger and broader conversation about Black women's experiences every day. And you're literally playing right into the entire thing. So Amina's literally trying to help you right now. And I don't know you, it's to text you on the side, but like, if you literally just listen to her, she's really trying to help you. She's not gaslighting you, I promise you. Yeah, but even the way you're talking to her, if you were talking to a man like that, you would know, like different vibe. And I think that's the point.
And to be honest, I mean, I was just saying, Billy, I mean, I watched you over the years, but just be humble and empathetic. Because, I mean, today, like, wow, we may have just like, well, at least I understand, you know, whatever could have happened. But in the day, something happened under your brand. And like I said, it's a leader of the brand. It's on you. Regardless, you feel like it's your fault.
Tyler, can I tell them what happened first?
Thank you, Amina. Thank you, Amina. Because I don't even think so. I appreciate it.
Okay, so here's the deal. Allison was brought in by someone to show up in a space as a thought leader, as a powerful contributor to the conversation. She was brought in. She didn't invite herself. Someone invited her and asked her expertise because they valued her voice in the space. So you brought her in. She was brought into a space whether you know that or not. So she came. There's a conversation that's happening based off of the understanding of the title of the room, which is rich, you know, white secrets and how Black people can utilize this to break through, right? So I don't remember it all. It's irrelevant to what happened. There's a long conversation about all of these things that are not really relevant to what the title of the room is. For clarity, because that's what we do, and that's what Allison is in the business of doing, especially when she shows up in the space to add her voice, is please let me be clear about what it is that I'm here to speak on so that I understand how I may add value. And so in the process of asking for clarity, clearing the space for her voice to be heard and to add value in the way that she does, she said, hey, you know what I'm recognizing is I just want to be clear how this is moving, because based off of what the title of this room is, we're not really addressing the specifics of the systemic and oppressive ways in which Black people experience how they're able or not able to level up. And we would really love for us to stick maybe to the secrets and figure out how we can really add value to the thousands of people who showed up to get the secrets. What ended up happening after that, Billie Jean, was that Dan dismissed her. And let me tell you how. He was on a tangent explaining all of the things that were not relevant to the conversation. She said what she said. He then mansplained, but I don't call it mansplaining. Let me say gaslighting, because he invalidated her voice by dismissing her and going back to what he was talking about with that. But also he made an excuse without expanding the conversation in a way that allowed her a way to flourish and thrive and create dialogue. He shut her down. And so basically he said to her that, you know, this applies to all people, but you put Black people in the title. So the Black people showed up to the room to get the secrets that you asked them to come for. Now, whether this was to perform some experiment, if it was playful, what I want to say to you about what happened is we are not in a position right now to play these kinds of games based off of what we have experienced in this last year. So I just want to offer you and invite you to open up your mind and get out of defense and just hear first and allow the space, because if people are in pain, that's not the invitation to defend. It's to first say, you know what, I'm so sorry that this was your experience. Let me find out what happened so that I may offer value for what happened on my watch. Now, we did not know you were not necessarily present because the room is your name is there, right? So, you know, the problem and the way that shows up, Billy, is that for Black women in a space, we're constantly feeling unsafe, unprotected, right? That conversation put us smack dab in the middle of that, right? And you dismissed, well, I won't say you, I'm saying you in you know, right, broadly, but put another Black woman who is making space for other Black women and Black people to amass some information and try to level themselves up to wealth. So she was brought into the room to assist in that conversation and was shut down. And it's gaslighting. It's not even disrespect. She was brought in a space and then told what she said was not really what was happening, when that's what other people experience, because there are multiple rooms talking about how Allison was dealt with in that space. Gotcha. So I would just like to invite you to, you know, do better, because the way that you came in was reckless and offensive, disrespectful and unkind, lacked compassion and information. So when you are coming into a space, I just really need you to be better about that as a representative of us. Because if we come in and open spaces for us to have real conversations, you got to be a beacon and a level of protection for the women who are coming and trust you to open these spaces. So thank you for listening this go round and being available for this conversation. And I just ask that you receive this in a way and shift, please.
Well, I do, and I appreciate you sharing that, and it does shift things. So, you know, first and foremost, if I was in the room and I see not just a Black woman, but someone, actually, let me stop lying, a Black woman, and if I saw that, Allison, for those of you that know my brand, I'm going to call shit out in a motherfucking second, more than probably anybody in the room is what I would assume. So, Allison, I am sorry, genuinely, that happened to you. 1,000%, that's not cool. Like, if you guys follow me, you know, I'm talking Black on every stage that I'm on, period, for years. So I hope my track record, you know, backs that. So Allison, I apologize that it happened, because that's not cool. That's wacky. And I'll dive in more to see what happened and address that. Where my energy came from, Amina, that you brought, is from the title of this room: Scam, Rich White People's Secrets. Speaking of brand, now remember, when I make a room called Rich White People's Secrets, and then I see someone else make one behind it, Scam, and I receive text messages that I'm being disrespected, I would have to imagine that you guys would probably feel similar coming into a situation, and that's not how you want to be treated or how you want to be welcomed, especially when you feel like you do so much for our community. So that is where you felt my energy of like, yo, what the fuck? Like, I'm just coming in here. So that's where it was. And again, I wasn't even here. So I truly had not the slightest clue. I didn't even look at my phone because I had guests at my house. You know, and matter of fact, a guest that was talking about the lack of women in Clubhouse, ironically. And so then I came back. I'm getting, anyways. So Alice, I'm sorry that you had that. For, you know, everybody else in regards to stuff like, look, for me, and if the goal here is to communicate how you feel and to have proactive conversations that bridge the gap, like, I'm not a fan of this medium. Like, me coming in here feeling like I'm some kind of bad guy, like someone like me, like I'm.
Well, because Billy, you weren't a bad guy. You were not a bad guy. You've never been a bad guy in this room, and we did not speak of you like you were a bad guy. It was, and if we would have thought, or if I would have thought you were a bad guy, I never would have handed you the mic. So when you came to me in the energy in which you came to me, that didn't work for me. It didn't work for me at all. And so that's the thing that pivoted. Because if I would have thought in any way that oh, Billie Jean is horrible and I've known he was bad forever, I never would have been in your room. I never would have stepped on the stage. So what I would encourage you to do, I get that. Yeah. I get that, but the title got us too. The title got us. And it was 2,600 of us in a room on your brand thinking that we were either going to be contributors or receivers. And instead, there was a white man who was completely tone deaf, reading off of a piece of paper. Just reading as though we were, I don't know what, but let me give you these crumbs and let me see if you take them as a meal. And that was the part that got us all. And so I will tell you this, when you look at the size of this room, that is the indication that the breach was not just to me. That's an indication that the breach was to the collective. And that's the piece that I want you to understand, is that the only reason I'm speaking out, there's not one video, not one blog, not one TV segment you can see me on, from CNN to Fox News to USA Today interviews, and I have all of those, where you would see me saying anything visceral, nasty, negative, rude, or disrespectful about anyone. And today is no different. But today I was disrespected. I was marginalized. I was hurt. And I felt like there was a collective that would have something to say. And honestly, I thought this room would be 25 people. But this room grew because I was not alone. And that's the thing that you have to know. You can't just leave your brand in the hands of people who don't care about your people. And you got to be clear about that before you hand it over to them.
Respect. And now, this is something I'm more than open to hearing. And I appreciate you saying, like I said, like, I want to find out more, like, of the homies that were in the room and see what went down, because that's again, we're on 1,000% of the same page. That I don't want you to feel like that. I'm upset that you do feel like that, and that doesn't represent me. But we also, at the same time, I need to stand on my own here and say, like, we need to stop acting like Clubhouse and this social media shit, like, people take it too seriously. Like, I fuck around. Like, matter of fact, I mean, honestly, to me, this just makes me go, yo, the book title is fire as fuck. Like,
actually, the book title is fucking. The book title is predatory when you are absent from it, leading the dialogue.
You have the second biggest room in Clubhouse off of my book title name, so like.
No. But listen, did you hear what I said? The book title is predatory when you're absent from it. When you're absent from it. Okay. So I'm done. Yep. I'm done. You all, I will tell you this right now. I'm done, because this shows. I've never seen somebody prioritize profits over people like what Billie Jean just did. Like, fuck that. If you're that fucking rich, then motherfucker, you do not need to treat people in this way to make your next coin. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? If you're that goddamn rich, then you do not need to take your people through a bait and switch title to get yourself your next coin. And what I said to him is that it is predatory when you are absent from the dialogue, because you are the black man leading it. But you cannot lead a conversation that says the secrets of the rich white person from a black man and leave it in the hands of a white male who is tone deaf. I will not. Absolutely not. And I will not subject anyone in this audience to hearing him try to defend that. And I'm glad he thinks it's great. And I hope it does exactly what he thinks it should do, because I'll never wish ill on anyone. But what I tell you I'm not going to do, he just gave me such a circle of completion with him, such a circle of completion with that entire circle of leadership, and such an arena of understanding that he does not care. He cares more about what results he's going to produce for himself. And let me tell you, there have been a ton of house Negroes who went to the Negroes in the field and said, I'm arguing on your behalf. I'm fighting for you. But you know what they were doing? They were eating the good meat. You know what they were doing? They were eating the good sides. You know what they were doing? They were living in air conditioning. You know what they were doing? Their hands weren't bleeding from picking cotton. And I'm sorry, all of you that are in this room, you are not at the physical place where Billie Jean is, and you were looking up to him to see if he would guide you at least to the perimeter of the promised land, because you knew if you could see it, you could then be it. But then when you got there, you realized that the person that led you there under the guise of, I'm going to show you. When in reality, I'm just going to show off to you. That's bullshit. It's unfair. And no black person that is for black people will do that. And no black person that is for black people will tolerate that. And I will not allow all of you to be re-traumatized by his explaining under the guise of, well, let's just have an intellectual dialogue and let's not take this too serious. We're humans, and social media is serious, and this situation is real, and we will not be silenced, and we will not be put in the corner like we're saying doesn't matter. That is not okay. That is absolutely, in so many ways, not okay. And I see that his tribe left, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that they all left the panel. Like, I'm just so grateful for that, because that's just not okay. I don't know, somebody that's in the speaker area, open your mic, because I am shaking so badly right now that I can't even continue to talk.
Allison, I just want to say, I was in that room and Moj asked me the question and I spoke, and I just want to apologize that you've had this really, really unfair situation and that you were dismissed. I hope that what I said wasn't in any way dismissive, and, I'm really sorry that you're and the fact that he just kind of embraced that the book title's good because it's going to get clout, I just want to say that, I really respect you, and I'm sorry that you went through that. And I know someone earlier said, let's not make this about apologies, but I feel obligated to just, because I'm a good person, and I don't mean to sound prideful saying that, but I'm just really embarrassed that that's what went down after Moj and I spoke. So I just wanted to say I'm sorry, Allison.
Thank you for that. I wanted to add on about the book title and the room. I was in there just about the whole time. I really wanted it to be, I hoped that it would be an opportunity for us to have a dialogue like we're having right now. Conversations about race, and I know it are uncomfortable for some people, but this is our real life. So if you're going to use the title about Black people learning and trying to grow, understand this is our real life. Like, I cannot stop being Black. When my brothers get stopped at the traffic stop, when I have to worry about whether or not I'm going to survive. Sandra Bland is my sorority sister. When I have to hug her mother because she was killed. Like, this is my real life. I'm a marketer. I want to be wealthy. I want to make money, but I'm a Black person and I'm a Black woman who will have Black children. So it's a different situation for us. We can't turn it off, and we can't just unplug from being Black. And I can't unplug from being a woman. I can't unplug from those realities. And one of the challenges, I think, when, and I love Billie Jean, I'm in the community. The problem that we're seeing right now is when you get to a certain level of wealth, your proximity to wealth and whiteness erases some of the things that you're not really seeing. And that's what we're seeing. That's on the academic side of things. The erasure of seeing
what I think is so, Sade, I just want to add into this because Billie Jean just started a room called Allison Bird is Clout Chasing. And so obviously he doesn't realize I have fucking more money than he does. And so while he's chasing fame, I got the fucking fortune. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now?
Yo, Allison, real quick. This room specifically, it got flagged. So I just want to mention that.
Sure. What is that, Ronnie, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to step in because I wasn't on that group, in that room, or I didn't really hear any of the conversation. But what I was going to say was the biggest thing that I just wanted to stress is that we, especially as a Black woman, let me just say this, as Black people, we have to stop being so thirsty for acceptance and inclusion. And what I will also stress is that so many of us are willing to turn our cheeks for a check. And if we are able to get close to people that appear to have money, that appear to have this certain level of success, we will almost sacrifice anything for that level of acceptance to have a seat at a table. And we just have to make sure that the seat that we're looking for at the table, the people at the table still respect us and still respect our culture. And what I'm beginning to see is the thirst, right? Because so many people, when I'm hearing people talk about the percentage of Black fathers that leave their families and things of that nature, that's not a conversation that a white man.
Not you, but Dan kind of did. And so here's the deal. Everybody in that room was also talking about an additional issue. Like, they were coming off of a lot of different feelings from the year, like all of us. If you're Black at all, this has been a fucking crazy year. And so what people don't know, though, is that Billy, in his attempt at the very beginning of our conversation, was 5 Black guys on a stage talking about, hey, this is what I've been around. I've been around white people. This is kind of what we're bringing. This is how we've been amplifying it. This is how we've been taking it, ingesting it. How we've been taking what we've been around.
There wasn't enough representation about how when people do. I mean, we were talking about all the things that she's talking about, but notice something. There's 2 ways to fucking be successful. There's 2 ways to have the tallest building in the city. Number 1 is you can build the fucking biggest building. That's what I do. Here's the other way. You can knock down the other motherfucking buildings. She's out there trying to knock down my motherfucking building and then have the nerve to talk about celebrating Black people when you're trying to destroy another Black man on some bullshit. Like, again, if she's sitting here and then she's trying to twist it. Like, this isn't about you, Billy. This isn't about you. Nigga, your room is titled My Fucking Room with Scam in front of it. Shut the fuck up. What are you talking about?
He's upset.
How the fuck is that not about me? Like, who put up with this shit? Like, I'm sorry. You know, I told a friend that. I said, the difference between me and most is I did not get into entrepreneurship for money. I got into it for freedom.
Why are you so upset?
Wild shit like this with the freedom to press a button and say, fuck it. A lot of people aren't going to like this. I think Trump is a disgusting man. I think he's weak. However, I learned a lot from the guy. When this motherfucker went on Twitter and got to communicate directly with the people, what he wanted to say versus having the media portray him, I respected that shit. Because everybody gets fucking manhandled by other people fucking chirping. Not I. Not this nigga. This shit's crazy to me. Anyway, I want to bring some. If there's any ladies in her room, because I see y'all jumping over here now.
Grab Ronnie. Grab Ronnie right there. Ronnie's great. Ronnie's wonderful.
Without Allison trying to mute me because she knows she's on some bullshit. You're over here talking shit. So, Ronnie, I'm going to bring Ronnie up. If that's okay, Ronnie. You don't have to, Ronnie. You don't have to. I'm going to bring you up, though. Hit you with the follow button. Ronnie, how do I bring you up? Oh, here we go. I'd like to speak. She may not want to.
Yeah. I think Ronnie's great, so maybe she wants to, or maybe she doesn't.
I don't know, Ronnie. Who was in the room? Who was in the room, Steve? Marcus, tell me who in the room, because I want to bring up some wild people that just have an opinion. I want to know who was in the room.
I'm getting blown up. This guy named Adriel Ramos on here. Tell him to raise his hand.
What's his name?
Adriel Ramos. I mean, preferably it'd be a woman from the room. A woman from the room.
I would like to talk to a Black woman in the room who is on their side, because I do want to get the other perspective. I don't want to talk into my own shit. Thing is there's so many damn requests. I have a feeling there's a lot of heat that's
Yeah.
Like, hold on. How do I? Latasha Lee? You think she was in there?
I mean, there was a lot of people in there.
We're gonna click. All right, if you see anybody else, Marcus, let me know.
I will.
This shit is just crazy.
You guys can message me if you want to speak or whatever.
Can you hear me?
I can hear. There we go. Latasha, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. Well, I'm not in agreement with Allison. I actually was on from the beginning, and I remember and I heard the beginning of the conversation, and it was great. I got a lot of nuggets. I took a lot of notes. I stayed the whole time. I joined 2 rooms, actually, that was started after. And I didn't join because I was in agreement. I joined because I couldn't believe that people went and started a room to speak negatively about that room, which did give a lot of good knowledge. Now, when you left and took your break, yes, of course, Dan took over and it did kind of slow down, but it still was okay. It wasn't the best, but I felt like it was over and Dan was kind of trying to keep it going. So, I'm sorry, my baby. So I just didn't agree with the whole thing, and I totally agree with you. And I really didn't think Dan was being mean. I just think that Dan didn't say what she wanted to hear, so she got offended. That's what happened. He did say anybody can learn from what he was saying. He said blacks, whites. He said it didn't matter color or gender. Anyone could do it. And so that's just what she didn't agree. And, you know, if he felt that way, I understand. And if she felt a different way, you know, that's fine. But you can't get upset and start a room because he didn't say what you wanted to hear. And if you was at the beginning, yes, of course it wasn't reset. But if I was at the beginning and I got a lot of nuggets and I just didn't agree how it happened and what transpired in the end. So that's all I wanted to say.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. And even in her, Allison, I think was her name, and Allison's defense, like, hey, if she had a situation and she felt that type of way, like, look, that's okay to feel it. And I'm glad she did express it, but not in that manner. It's like when you come out, you start a room, you say scam, you're bad mouthing people, you're talking negative. Like, that's the energy you're gonna receive. You can't yell at somebody and be disrespectful and then throw your hands up like, why aren't you apologizing?
You also can't
work that way.
You also can't get mad when people are trying to defend themselves a little bit when you call them a house nigga. That's all I'm saying. That was a tough one. That was a tough one for me. That was a tough one for me. But I understand people are hurt, man.
I see her hurt, and I also see a lot of envy. That's an envy move. Like, that's an envy move. Like, that was coming. I never met this. I have no idea who she is till right now. Then she said she's Danielle Leslie's sister. Danielle Leslie's nice. The conversation I had with Danielle, she's great. So I'm like, damn, y'all niggas must be half sisters. Like,
hold up. Stop. Oh man.
Let me bring somebody else up who was there. You know what I mean? This is my guy Chauncey. Hold up. Chauncey, because Chauncey was there.
Yeah, Chauncey was messaging me.
So,
yeah.
So Chauncey, I mean, like, am I missing something? Because, like, to me, I'm like, man, I was having dinner with the homies. Like, I don't.
Hey, let Jason up too. Let Jason Lee up. Jason Lee right there. He was in the room the whole time. Please let him up.
Yeah.
Jason Lee?
Yeah, Jason with the book. Here's the book. Hollywood Unlocked. Yeah,
Jason. Let's see what happens.
You guys need to know each other anyway. So just on GP,
okay,
y'all need to know each other.
Right, wait. Can I pause real quick, Chauncey? Jason, can I apologize to you directly, bro? Because I wasn't trying to speak over you. I came in the room. I thought everything Jason had to say was on point. I just literally, bro, we don't even know each other, so I apologize. I just want to say that. Chauncey, go ahead.
It's all good.
So Billy, just to be clear, fuck everything that happened. Fuck everything. Fuck it all at the end of the day. It's a couple Clubhouse rules. When you open up a room, don't give your room to anybody. Just close the fucking room. Because what happens is Clubhouse is very pretentious. And there's a lot of sensitivity going on. And people feeling slighted, so on and so forth. And justifiably so. I know you pro-black. I know, all that shit is great. They don't know if she doesn't know you, you don't know her. But the beauty of life is don't turn your room over to somebody else anymore. That's one thing. Just close the room and just close the room and keep it moving.
This might be a great marketing time. It got popular, so I wasn't even.
But it's not working. But I know you joke. I know how you joke, but they don't know how you joke. At the end of the day, a lot of people on here, they're hypersensitive because it's a lot of bullshit going on in Clubhouse. You've been here a couple days, so now you're seeing the dynamic of what can happen if you don't take care of your room. You limit your stage. You make 2 or 3 moderators. You control who comes up to the stage, so you don't fall into a situation like you just fell into. It's really fucked up. It happens, but it happens all the time with somebody, a black man that got clout. There's not you a unicorn with a black man that actually people know from doing business. And we got. I just left the room. They were actually Rona. I forgot her name. To say, hey, we need, instead of how we just dealt with them, we should have been bringing him in. So there is opportunity. And you did humble yourselves. You did do what you did, but there has to be people. Instead of people go running and start the room and starting some shit, they should really be talking to the person and say, hey, your man's a fucking idiot. He gaslighted the shit. We know what that means. And you said, hey, I'm gonna take care of that. And my part of this, she should have said, hey, thanks for doing that. And then it just went upfield, whatever. And but apology didn't happen. That's cool too. But she still feels some kind of way. But there's a movement to blackball people on this fucking app that are doing great shit. And I'm not going to let that continue. And I'm not speaking ill of her. I'm not speaking ill of you. I'm not speaking ill of anybody. I'm tired of the shit happening on this app all the time. And it's a fucking app we don't even own. We don't have no fucking money into it. And you're going to fucking shit on me or something. And you can't even go back and listen to it. Here's the problem. They can't even go back. You can't even go back and listen to what he said. So how do you know how it was said, or you know your man's tone? He's an idiot for saying it. I don't even know what he said. But it's really fucked up that we got to spend time and energy when you was just trying to bring a bunch of black men together to have a conversation. And Greg came in, and Guy came in, so on and so forth. Because that's the crew. Everybody's cool. So we jump in. And that's the fucking problem. So I just want you to not gaslight it and make it worse, and just hold this shit down, reach out, have a separate conversation, and life will go on. But I just don't. I hate this. I hate all the bullshit. And Jason was in there a little longer than me, and he definitely, has a better perspective. I just wanted to bring him up because he can tell you a little bit better from what I told you.
I mean, first of all,
in a second, I brought up Pam too. I want to chop it up with her. I didn't want to get the viewers, but Chauncey, that was a good breakdown. And look, I agree with everything, but I don't leave my house. I don't do it. At least my fucking fake Clubhouse feature. Right, but you can't. My whole thing is like, look. For me and everybody listening, I just believe in a kind of different philosophy. I'm just never gonna let anybody disrespect me. And especially when I'm wrong, I'll own that shit. Like I even told her, for someone who's in my room that said something about it, I told her first thing, I'm gonna talk to him. That's not cool. I'm sorry. I said all these words to bring it to her. What I'm not going to do, I'm not going to apologize for shit I had absolutely nothing. Like literally, I wasn't even there. So that was a crazy thing. But now to me, the way she was just looking for something to get mad, trying to mute me, like you can tell how she handles conflict in her life. It does, like, but Billy, don't do that.
Yeah, let's not. Billy.
I'm just saying.
So we can't do that. We can't do that.
Okay, I'm not saying that. But real fast. I'm just saying that. How can we say we can't do that? But you guys are cool with her attacking a black man, but if I'm not a woman.
Wait, Billy, can I offer something? Can I offer something since I was in both rooms?
Just slide in, just let Pam say it. I don't want to.
Sure, go ahead.
The ladies first, and then I got you, Joseph.
All right, so I was in both rooms. I was in the room initially because I know Billie Jean. I know, right? I don't run in the same circles as you do personally, the people that you had on stage. So you have to understand that people, they see your persona on social media and they see your ads and everything, but they don't know like the circle, right? So coming in, seeing a room like that on Clubhouse, I was even like, sheesh, like this is weird. And then having one black woman on the stage at first. Like, there were no black women on the stage. I'm like, all right. I usually leave rooms like that. But because it's Billie Jean, I stayed. You know what I'm saying? I stayed in the room. When you left, I left the room because the room did go in another direction. And for people who are new on Clubhouse, like, and I've only been on here a month, right? You gotta reset the room. And like Chauncey said, you have to, you cannot leave your room to other people. You just cannot. Like, you just shut the shit down and leave. All of her feelings are valid, right? They're valid, period. Like, it's just way too much shit going on in this world for a black woman to be dismissed like that. Period. I know you didn't have anything to do with it, but it's your sense of responsibility. It's your sense of responsibility because you left the room. So you still knew the Clubhouse though, right? So just being in that, it's just a lot of emotions that was in Allison's room. I don't think this is cool by starting this type of room. That's why I had to get up on the stage. Like, we cannot, like, it's like acting up in front of fucking company. Like, we gotta be able to at least take it on to a side conversation. Right. We can't be calling each other the N-words on here. Like, we are grown fucking adults. People who got money should not be on here calling each other names. Like, we can't do this, y'all. We cannot. So it's just a big lesson learned. When someone calls you a house nigga on Club, like, I didn't. It's not right on both ends. It's not right on both ends because it's terrible on both ends. We cannot let that get that far. You know what I'm saying? And I'm here as a black woman, in business, as a black woman who has felt marginalized by black men, by white men. I come from the computer space. I'm in the beauty world now. So it's just like, I know that feeling. We're going to have to learn how to at least control our emotions on this app and not act a fucking fool.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So this was
same thing.
So we need to, like, I would just highly encourage you to just shut this room down and you and Alice are gonna have to talk on another type of level because she comes with a level of something. You come with a level of something. We are black people, and we need to. If we got to be able to fucking bend and bear it in front of people, and then have cuss each other out behind the scenes. But we don't need to cuss each other out.
When I came into that room, I felt like the end of a Tyler Perry movie. Where like we just fucked up, and then he walked in, and everybody's looking around. Like, right.
And you came in also.
I just got a football in my hand, like, yo, I'm just trying to go to the league.
Yep. And it wasn't explained to you. And Amelia, I think her name was Amina. She did an amazing job. Amina did an amazing job explaining it to you. Right? She did an amazing job explaining it to you. But then she wanted you to continue, like, Allison just wanted to be heard in the entirety. And I think that's where the problem comes in. And that's what happened when you left.
Yeah, well, real talk question. When is the difference between being heard and being agreed with? Because at first I did hear her. She ranted for like 2.5 minutes. But because I didn't agree with her, things started to sit. And so how do you draw the line between, okay, look, I hear you, right? But I don't agree with you. Know what I'm saying? Like, where does that?
I just wish Amina could have navigated the conversation or mediate the conversation between you and Allison, because Allison was cursing. Like, I've never heard her speak like that before, and I've known Allison for years, so I've never heard her, and like, she was really, really hurt and triggered. So I wish somebody could have mediated that situation or that conversation between you two, so it wouldn't have gotten so emotional. But I just wanted to come on here as a beautiful black woman who just turned 42 years old.
Yes, you are.
I just wanted to say, like, her feelings were valid, and that this part, it should be ending real soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And could you just let Jason speak to it real quick?
I mean, I've never stuck around and been this invested in shit that don't have nothing to do with me. But You know, like I'm proud to say I'm one of the most controversial people on the internet, and I totally get both perspectives. I think, Billy, first of all, nice to finally meet you. I do know somebody set up a meeting with us, and I do plan to do business with you because I know you're great at what you do. But I think the problem is, and I know Dan. Dan is a friend of mine, and I like Dan. I respect Dan. In fact, I was texting Dan on the side. I'll be honest with you. I saw the title, and I work in the industry of media, so I know clickbait, and it was great clickbait to get people in the room. And I was entertaining people too at my house, so I wasn't really following all the conversation. So I missed the part that became controversial. To Chauncey's point, when I leave a room, I end the room, just because you can't control it afterwards, and then it becomes some other shit. But I will say the problem that was happening, there's two things happening. There's the experience that Black women were having in that room that they weren't even attributing to you per se completely. They were talking about Dan. They were just talking about the room. And then when you entered the room, they were talking about, even Marcus and I had an exchange about how sometimes when Black people are trying to speak or share their perspective, white people or others shut them down. And literally when you came in, it was almost like they described the behavior and then you came in not knowing. And then on top of that, you didn't give a fuck, which made it worse. And so I was texting people on the side like, yo, y'all want to tell him, like, he's playing into the race they have that isn't even about him. You know what I mean? Right. So I think there were two things happening.
Jason, let me ask you this. Like, what I hate about Clubhouse is the conversation. People go back and forth like we are right now, right? Like, okay, hey, really, like this whole this is nonsense. It's fucking boring. Like, it's whack. I'm fucking arguing that everyone stop doing rooms like that. This shit is whack. But go back to you, Jason. Like, my thing is at what point when Allison's because you felt her energy towards me when I came in, at what point am I allowed to set my shit right and say what it is if I'm being accused? Because again, we keep having, when I came in the room, the narrative was like, Billy, you should care. Billy, you should be listening. Billy, you should be apologizing. You know what? Honestly, and then my roommate. But here's the deal. Listen, there was so much energy in the room that it was bigger than you. It was bigger than that room. And when you came in, I think what they were feeling was that people don't understand or have empathy for the Black woman. And I get that all the time in what I do. All the time. If I'm talking shit about Megan Thee Stallion or Nicki Minaj or whatever, I get it all the time. One thing I've learned is in the context in which we're having a conversation in this space, because we are arguing in front of company, which I hate having conversations with white people. I do think that, and I've heard a lot about that, like I've heard all the accolades about what you do for the Black community, so I already know part of what your reaction is why the fuck are we even having this conversation with everybody?
You hear me? What's good? Oh my gosh.
She would have called her good plug. Wow, you cheated your breast.
Why did you say anything impressive?
Because you said you had one.
That's impressive?
Yeah, to me. I feel like there's something that's not necessarily Black women's repertoire. No offense to that one.
I just feel like, everyone's, sexual preference, maybe they do different strokes for different folks. Yeah, maybe. A hard question when I was saying the first thing I saw was you happy, and I wanted to play this game, right? But I noticed I couldn't see the H, and I definitely have an H in my name. What is the H? You know? The H, let me see. Tell me it's help. She said, tell me it's help. It is. The H is health. Yes, health. You know what? Let me go ahead and read this out for you guys. So my name is Giselle.
You started talking, and then, it goes really crazy from there. So, trying to make sure where you were coming from. I was, didn't see exactly things the way they went for you in that situation. So, I was just trying to understand.
Yeah, got it. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Amina, for having the patience to express to Billie Jean, on my behalf. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ronnie, for coming in and for speaking to the room. Thank you for that. Thank you, Sade, for stepping up and speaking and for reclaiming your time when people were trying to eclipse it. And it's just so interesting that the moment that a woman elevates her voice at all, people go, whoa, whoa, whoa. But, buddy, But I heard a room the other day where a white man got just very passionate. And, and he was giving business tips, but in giving those business tips, he was talking about his frustration with Trump not being in office and all these different things. And nobody said to him, whoa, too much. And whoa, don't talk about politics. And whoa, like nobody said that. But the moment that women got passionate in this room, everybody went like, whoa, we can't yell. We can't have passion. It just shows us how much work we have left to do. And so I'm grateful that we all stood in that. Thank you again to everyone who just said, like, this is not a bashing of a human. This is an acknowledgement of a system that tolerates behaviors that then humans find those lanes of behavior and then live in them and then bring that into our world, right? So anyway, it's late here. I know it's late everywhere because if it's late on the West Coast, it's late for all of y'all. I just appreciate you and thank you so much. Before I close the room, was there anyone that was up in the speaker section that just wanted to say anything before we close the room?
No, I mean, I think like you hit it on the head. I mean, I think it definitely helps. I mean, hearing these conversations when I see them, for me, if I didn't necessarily have that very moment, like, here's what happened kind of thing. Like, even hearing you talking when I, tell your side, your side perspective, it enlightens me. And like, I think these conversations, we leave this conversation every single day, kind of like, how can I see this from somebody's side? How can I be more, inclusive? It helps. So I definitely appreciate the conversation.
And just to add to what you said, Allison, I want to thank you so much for, extending the space to speak about, what did occur in that room. And I initially left, honestly, after you, because when you were speaking and the fact that you was dismissed, honestly, I felt like I shared that experience with you. And I do identify myself as a woman and a woman of color. I am Black. I felt dismissed as well. And I just feel like the takeaway here, even for me, because I was lured in through the title as well. So for me, just being more, socially and consciously aware of the topics and the conversations that do occur, in these rooms, that doesn't push, the needle forward, within our culture. And, just, at the end of the day is, I feel like a teachable moment, for me. And just to, sum it up, I just, really want you to, just have a good vacation and try not to let this moment, take away who you are as a person. But again, just thank you for extending the space to, share our feelings. Thank you for that, Nicole.
I just want to speak really quickly. Thank you again for creating this space for all of us, because clearly we're all feeling the same way that you were. I left at the same time because I just felt like I was really disrespected. And I'm happy that you spoke out, but I'm also really frustrated at the fact that, like, I always feel like it always ends up being us as Black women. Why does it always end up being our responsibility to have to check somebody, no matter if it's a Black man or white people, it ends up being our responsibility to educate them when all the resources are there for them. So I'm just happy that we were able to have this dialogue, and hopefully some people got something meaningful out of it that aren't people of color and aren't in the Black space. But I'm really sorry that happened.
I just wanted to add, just thank you again, Allison, for opening your mouth in that space and taking up space and then coming over here and creating the space. That was just really important, and it did serve. And I know that we did have a collective experience in that moment. And I'm just happy, but I want to say continue to disrupt. To everyone who's listening, continue to disrupt these spaces, because though I came in and started speaking in a way that I knew would be packaged enough for him to hear, it was disappointing that it had to come to a point where you needed to be placated in that way, and that you didn't intuitively come in to really serve, and that after even that conversation that you still turned up back in. So really was be raucous and loud and just make the noise regardless.
Alice, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Since I kind of came to Dan's, well, first of all, are you at this point, were you more upset with the way things were going in that initial conversation with Dan, or with how the whole transaction went with Billy when he came into your room?
No, I started the room out of the fact that the title did not match the content.
Okay.
So that was a significant bait and switch of an entire community. That's what I was upset about.
Okay. And then were any of you guys familiar with Dan prior to hearing him speak in that room?
Not at all. I wasn't.
Okay. So maybe that's because I'm really familiar with him, and so maybe that's part of my context, because I actually know he has a heart of gold for everyone, and so I'm just trying to figure out, like, why is it that?
So Ryan, what happened? Yeah, let me help you. When I brought up that it was not in alignment, his answer to the race, sorry, that's my refrigerator beeping. His answer to the conversation of this is not in alignment with the title was, well, these principles are available for everyone, and regardless of race. And that's not true. That is not true. The principles that he was teaching were through the lens of the patriarchy, they were centered on whiteness, and they were through the filter of privilege. And so all he needed to do was to know how to bridge it over to be inclusive, and to say, I'm going to say the tip, and then what I'm going to do is turn it over to a diversity or inclusion specialist, or an anti-racism activist, or someone who does, the studies of Black history, or who understands, whatever it may be, and have them be the translator. We've all seen the Obama translator on the Key and Peele show. All he needed was a translator, but he wasn't even interested enough to identify that. And that tone deafness is what set this all off, because he didn't know how to understand it. So have you ever been to a hotel where you're like, hey, there was a hair in my sheets. Can you move my room? And the hotel rep, instead of being understanding and saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry, that is not our cleanliness standard. Let me check what room is available for you. Give me about 15 minutes. Would you like to go to the restaurant and grab a drink on us? And by the time you come back, or even better yet, I'll walk over to you and I'll bring the new keys to your room, and I'll have the bellman move your luggage. Would that work for you, Miss Bird? And then all of a sudden, now I'm like, wow, they handled a bad situation so well. That's why I rock with this hotel. That's why I love it. Or you go and say, there's a hair, and he says, look, we're sold out. I can't help you. I'm stressed out, and I don't have time for what you just move the hair. It's just a hair. That's what happened. That the second situation is what happened, and that's why it didn't work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can completely see where you're coming from. I hope that I just hope as a society we can all just lead with in all situations. Dan, everyone, not even this situation. I just feel to just like seeing my kids, and I just hope that love can become something that is more of a center in all these conversations.
Yeah, that's a can't we all just get along conversation. And with love and respect to you, Ryan, I don't know you, but I'm going to say that that's what a lot of white people want. Like, can we lead with love? Well, yeah, we can lead with love, but love requires understanding. And the Bible says love is not boastful. Love is kind, right? Love listens. And so we didn't have that here.
For sure.
You know, we didn't have that. And so if we're going to lead with love, let's lead with real love. Let's not lead with manufactured love, and let's not lead with love that we feel is digestible for others. Like, let's lead with the real love. And most of us, when we say that, we're speaking from a context of Christ consciousness. And so let's lead, you know, in that way. So, yeah,
For sure.
I hear you,
Appreciate
but
you.
I also feel like, yeah, I also want to just say to you that it's inclusive of the bigger scope of love and the true authentic expression of love. So, all right. Okay, thank you, everyone. Ronnie, I saw you drop out and come back. Aren't you on the East Coast? Aren't you sleeping?
No, girl. This is when I get all of my work done.
The joys of being a mom, running businesses, and doing all the things. I love it. Well, I asked the universe a moment ago why this happened, and the first answer, honestly, that I got was that my soul wanted an experience to feel deeply supported. And I really felt like I feel supported. But I didn't even realize that I wanted this. And I definitely didn't think that I needed to create anything tragic to make that happen. And I'm not going to own that I was the creator. I'm not going to own that. But I am going to own the lesson. And one great lesson is that I'm supported. And I love that. So thank you for all of you that supported, that rose up. Like, you know, I could get with that. I could totally get with that. I won't own that I needed a tragedy, but I will own that my humanity kind of navigated and found that lesson. And yeah, who knew that it would be hours later and I would come to this realization. I'm sure I'll have many more from the beaches of Maui. So, hey. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you, Tiana, for texting me right away, for being such an epic client and being like, yo. And my texts were blowing up so fast. I literally were. Oh my God. I literally got out of the room, was talking to my girlfriend, and I was trying to, like, just go chill and make me some hot water with lemon and find my little vape pen and, like, take a hot shower. And I just said, I can't. I won't. Because I wasn't going to lay down for this. So I'm just so grateful for all of you. Again, this is like my final wrap up as like the Baptist preacher who says I'm only going to close, 5 more times. So with that being said, for all 195 of you that were in queue for this, and to speak, and we weren't able to get around, thank you. Thank you for having a voice. Your voice matters, and even though we weren't able to put you to the mic on this platform in this particular moment, please know that your voice matters. If I want to take control or not.
I feel that.
Night.